I'll fuck you in half. Hey guys, what's up? It's the Culture Detective here, investigating your favorite albums. And today, I'm gonna be doing another Death Grips album review because they are an amazing band. And so I'm planning to review all their albums, I guess. Uh, I'm gonna be reviewing Death Grips Bottomless Pit. I almost forgot to say the album title because I'm too excited. By the way, I slept for 3 hours this morning, so if I feel a little dead, that's the reason. Yeah, anyway, I'm gonna try to be as energetic as possible in this review. Bottomless Pit is another classic album from one of the best bands ever, and definitely my favorite band of the 2010s. So, Death Grips is a band, a trio from Sacramento, California, consisting of angry, violent MC Ride. We have the insane, fast-paced drummer Zach Hill and the sound engineer Andy Morin. And together they form one of the most prolific groups in music right now. And they blend genres of rock, rap, and electronic together, and they do not move in a linear direction. Every album sounds different. Every album has a different style, flavor, texture. We have the really raw, rough, ex-military, the really violent, in your face, and just the very brutal The Money Store. And then on the same year, they released No Love Deep Web, which is glitchier, flashier, more electronic, and the flows are catchy. And then the next year, they released Government Plates, which is even weirder, choppier, more abstract, and the song structures are a little bit more loose, I guess, and a little more, unfortunately, ill written. And then immediately after, they dropped the first half of The Powers That Be, which is even weirder, but the songs are more solid and more organic, and they littered all these Björk vocal samples here and there. And then before they dropped the second half of The Powers That Be, they dropped Fashion Week, which is a full-on, complete instrumental album. And it's not that bad. It's pretty flashy, pretty weird, pretty eccentric. I like the flavor of the album. And then they dropped the second half of The Powers That Be, which is just so violent and raw and punchy. It's literally a hardcore punk rock album, but with a hip-hop flair. And it's just whack and wild. And then they dropped an EP called the Interview 2016 EP, where it's not really an interview, more like an album full of instrumentals and all, and it's not bad. It has some pretty nice, trendy, scratchy instrumentals here and there. That's pretty cutting edge, pretty futuristic, but it's not like a legendary EP or anything. And then they dropped Bottomless Pit on the same year, on 2016, and I am actually shocked that they are this consistently good. In fact, I'm gonna be honest here. I probably like this album just as much as I like The Money Store. It's just a tie between this and The Money Store. Prior to this LP, they had released a few things, like the video of a recording of the late actress Karen Black, and we also get this weird lyric release thing where it's just a bunch of lyrics from this LP, except it's more chopped up without any structures, so it's really weird. And we also get this trash phone call. Yes, they posted this phone number in their Facebook page, and you can dial it and you can listen to one of the songs on this LP, and the song title is Trash. And I'm gonna explain why this album is just so fucking good. It has the very catchy and poppy flows of No Love Deep Web, and yet it also has the very raw and wild, angsty personality of Jenny Death, I guess. Plus, it almost feels like a sequel to The Money Store, except it's even more versatile. It's extremely versatile, this album, and it's even more poppy and fun. And also, just like The Money Store, it's really tight, it's really direct, it's really straightforward, and the production on this album is very, very HD clear, very crisp, and also very creative. Every single track here has a different beat, different taste, different style, different structure, different texture, whatever. It's all very different and unique, and all the tracks here are basically these enraging cyberpunk bangers, and I just really like that. And I really appreciate that Death Grips had finally perfected the formula of experimental, abrasive pop songs that are actually accessible. I call it pop because they are relatively pop, but really they are just a really whack blend of rock, electronic, and rap. Without further ado, let's start off with the album opener, Giving Bad People Good Ideas I Keep, Giving Bad People Good Ideas I Keep. We get this very freaky and ear-grabbing female vocal lead in the beginning. That's a really nice touch. And then, after the vocals sort of end, we enter the core of the song, and it's this really insane, wild, noisy blast that's almost metal. That's almost thrash metal, with these roaring electronic guitars pummeling non-stop blast drum beats, and MC Ride's very animalistic and beastly vocal performances on top. And then once in a while, the female vocal leads come back for a pretty catchy, weird, cutting-edge bridge, and occasionally on the track we get these very wild and weird, freaky guitar freakouts, and we also get some skittering cymbals, and the song is a blast of pleasure. It takes a few listens to be enjoyable, but once you get it, you really do get it. It's so wild, so fun, and it's one of my favorite Death Grips tracks of all times, and one of the reasons being is that it's easily their angriest song ever, next to, I guess, Tachyon, Deathyon, and Wah Bitch Gonna La, Wah Bitch Gonna La. And I also really like the minimalistic shoe playing, shoe gazing video. I'm giving this track a 10 out of 10. And then up next, they do not stop. They do not stop the madness. The second track is titled Hot Head, and even though the single Hot Head is not that great, this track, the studio album version of Hot Head, is a blast. It's a literal blast. At first, it's all these very violent and intense warping sounds like you're going through a wormhole in the speed of light, and then we get MC Ride going blah 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 blah, hot head, oh no, blah 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 blah, and it's, I know I'm going crazy. I know MC Ride is going crazy, and he just does this on top of these really wild and raw, rough, freaky guitars, and it's just so abrasive, so whack. It's like Death Grips is testing their own fans. And of course, after the madness, all of a sudden we get this very laid back and troublesome and draggy instrumentals, and the chorus, they're just really, they don't seem to come together well, but they actually do. Yeah, and the lyrics are actually really violent and vulgar, talking about drug use, and I love this song a lot, and I don't know, I want to give it a 10. It's kind of a 9, though, but also kind of a 10. 9, 10 in between. Probably I'll settle it at a 9, because a lot of the tracks on this album already has a 10, like the next track, Spikes, which is extremely catchy, extremely replayable. I've been replaying this song for so many times because it's one of the catchiest Death Grip songs I've ever heard. The flow on this thing, it just makes this track a total frickin' fucking banger. Greed tastes like sin. Spike, 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 spike. Wow. It's awesome. The instrumentals are very muddy and sludgy, and occasionally we get these buzzy and grindy synths that's just grinding your brains out, especially in the chorus. And also, MC Wright says the word skid a lot on the track, and it's actually really smart. And yeah, it's a 10 out of 10. And then up next we have the track Warping, which is I guess one of the lower moments on the album, but still, it's actually pretty damn good, not gonna lie. It's more slower paced, and it's a little more spacey and echoey, a little more psychedelic actually, not in terms of the musicality, but more of the beat. And we also get these very saturated, thick, bassy, squelchy bass synths that are just rising up high, similar to the ones on the Fever. Aye aye! And occasionally in the chorus we also get these ascending bright keys. Dun 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 dun. That's a pretty nice touch. And overall, even though the song is a little slower and it's a little bit uneventful, I still love it a lot. I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. And then up next we have the track which is a surprising cut from Death Grips, because it's actually way more casual and laid back and smooth and calm and light-hearted and very bouncy and fluid, almost like Get Got, but even more subdued. And yeah, it's very plasticky as well. And the flow on this thing, again, every single track on this album has a different flow, and all of them are so freaking catchy. And on this track we have Who You Think You Are, like, do you know who I am? Fuck fails to understand. I'm like, And the lyrics on this album, they are unapologetic. Death Grips talks about the existence of themselves, the band, and they just give zero fucks, zilch. They just don't care. The song is so unapologetic. And the music video is very trippy, really well produced. I have no idea how did they make this video, but yeah. I also really like the phone blob samples, like the boom bang bang, when you know someone's calling but the phone's hanging there. You know, that sample, it's used in the verses at different times. The song's super catchy, amazing, 10 out of 10. And then up next we have Bubbles Buried in This Jungle, which has some whack and unapologetic, very ragged, wild bass. And MC Wright going, fuck, weak, no, respect, no chance, wig, cease and desist when I can't, fuck. And it's so good. It's so good. It's the flow is way more lighthearted here. It's like MC Rides is jumping on words, jumping on syllables, and especially when the drum beat comes in, it's very heavy and lumbering, but also very skippy and jumpy, and the whole thing feels so light and heavy at the same time. It's like light at the rhythm, but heavy on the tone. And you just want to headbang to this track so much. It's awesome. The drum beats here are really crispy, and there are some beats in the verses that are just kind of hesitating, skipping a little beat that's actually really tasteful. And it's a challenging song, and in a really, really great and satisfying and definitely catchy way. Another 10 out of 10 for this track. And then up next we have Trash, which also has an amazing flow. It's almost like a tongue twister here. We know trash, we know clean don't last, never last. When we load trash, we upload trash. Face down, trash, beat gets trash. And yeah, on this track they kind of talk about how the internet is just loaded with trash, just garbage. And, you know, Death Grips almost kind of talks about themselves a little bit, saying that they are almost like a part of the trash in the internet. And yeah, I really like how the song associates with the internet. I really like how Death Grips, the band themselves, associate with the internet and the filth of it a lot. And I also really like the instrumentals. They are basically these really rough and compressed orchestra with the strings and all. And you can also dial a phone number and listen to this song as well, so that's really awesome. Another 10 out of 10. And then up next we have Houdini. Again, extremely catchy. Extremely. I've never heard something experimental and abrasive this catchy. Like this catchy. This song is almost like a mix of spacey, futuristic, dystopia, dance floor music with these factory floor styled Chinese percussions that are sort of bouncing and boing like bow 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 3-4 fuck you baby, destroying a Houdini baby, 3-4 fuck you baby, destroying a Houdini baby. That's really catchy. And the chorus is really catchy. Fuck, is that a hairstyle? This asshole is a pussy church. That's a really funny line. Yeah, the track also has some rattling trap hi-hats that's really nice, and occasionally we get some double layer MC Rai vocals, one layer being pretty calm and collected, and one layer being very shouty and loud, and they go so well together. It's another 10 out of 10. Hell yeah. And then up next, it's BB Poison, which starts off with some throttling, bodily, regurgitating, rising, bumpy, slumpy, sounds, and they're just so crisp, super HD, clarity, kind of crisp, and oh, the flow, again, so freaking catchy. I sneak up on me, I shed my shot, my body clear. Oh, baby, poison. Even though the song is not as hard-hitting as some of the other tracks here, it's just as freaking catchy, fun, exciting, energetic. The musicianship on this track and on all the other tracks on the LP are absolutely fantastic. And then up next we have 3 Bedrooms in a Good Neighborhood. Oh yeah, 3 Bedrooms in a Good Neighborhood. This song is also extremely catchy, and it's also one of the best tracks on the album. The instrumentals, they are just amazingly migraine-inducing and industrial grinding, but in the best way, best kind of way. And the verses, the chorus, they hit hard, and the verses, they kind of linger on a little bit, and it's just really well produced, really well designed, and this track just has some really, really violent sexual images that make up some really interesting and also vulgar lyrics. I'm all up in my glory hole, so no. This track is a 10 out of 10. BB Poison is a 10 to a 9, I guess. And then up next we have 8080808080808, and it's a slow point. It's a cool down point for the album. It has some really HD laid back synths that's sort of fading back into the background on every strike, and it also has some thin buzzy bass and some skippy clicks on this track. That's pretty nice. And on the track, Death Grips kind of talk about other people ripping them off, and yeah, it's lyrically pretty nice. The song itself, though, it's okay. It's pretty good though. Like I like it, but it's not that hard hitting or exciting. So it's an 8 out of 10, a 9 to an 8, I guess. And then up next we have Ring a Bell, which is probably the least interesting song here. The song sounds like 2 songs being mashed together. Oh wait, sorry, I mixed up. It should be Ring a Bell first and then 80808. But yeah, anyway, I'm gonna talk about Ring a Bell. It has some weird, quick, blinking blips and bloops at first, and they sound really interesting. And later on the second leg of the track, it also accompanies some ragged, freaky strings, like a bird when it's injured and it's freaking out. And I really like that part of the song. But this really nice and weird beat is sort of interrupted with these monotone, raw, rough guitars that that just sound a little dragged. And it's even though really creatively produced, and the performances are amazing. The musicianship is amazing. I still think it's the least interesting and significant one on this track. Not least interesting, well, more like least effective and least catchy. And yeah, 7 out of 10 for the track. And then at the end, the album ends off with the title track, which is really angry but also really uplifting. It's a barn burner. It is a hell of an aggressive barn burner ending for the album, and it has some really fast-paced, running sort of guitars that are monotone, but they are also really fiery and flamey, and it has some really nasty and filthy and unapologetic lyrics like "I'll fuck you in half," and yeah, almost kind of reminds me of Radiohead's "Cut the Kids in Half." And yeah, it's a pretty strong finish to the album, I guess. I'm giving it a 7 to a light 8 out of 10, between a 7 to an 8. But yeah, overall, I really like this album. It's really colorful, really poppy, really catchy, instantly accessible. It's so versatile. Every track is so unique. And the production of this thing is so damn impressive, because on every track it's different, and on every track it's crisp, it's clear, it's weird, it catches your attention. Again, the performances by MC Ride is animalistic. The drum beats, they are fast-paced and insane. The sampling, they are really creative. The musicianship is on point. The lyrics are vulgar, wild, violent, and death grips. Good old death grips. I love this album a lot. My favorite track here is Hard Pick. Probably the album opener, but maybe also maybe also Bubbles Buried in This Jungle, maybe also Spikes, maybe also Houdini, maybe also 3 Bedrooms. I don't know. And my least favorite is definitely Ring a Bell. I am giving Death Grip's Bottomless Pit a strong 9 out of 10. So, have you listened to Death Grip's Bottomless Pit? From 1 to 10, how much do you rate it? Like if you like it. And subscribe if you want more. And up next, I'm going to be reviewing Steroids EP, a full-length review for Steroids EP.